Talking of pyramids, dude, this new pyramid shit that's just come out.
Oh, this is insane. Yeah, I was going to send this to you as well, Jamie. I'll send you one of the most comprehensive breakdowns of it on X because it's quite stunning. So apparently, through the use of Lidar, they have discovered that there are enormous structures underneath the Great Pyramid that go kilometers deep into the earth with coils. So enormous pillars, and then these coils. They don't understand what it is because they're just looking at Lidar images. But whatever this is a uniform structure. There's several pillars, and all of this is like very, very, very weird.
Yeah, it's 600 meters descending down those cylinders, and then there's more stuff below it, and then there's additional structures inside of it. Yeah, that was crazy.
It's really crazy. There's a guy, Jay Anderson, and he did a breakdown of it. Maybe this would be good. We could play this. It makes a little more sense when someone's explaining it to you.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we need somebody that's an expert here, not me and you.
Zawi Hawass, by the way, has said it's nonsense. So I don't know.
Already?
Yes. According to Graham Hancock. This is the wonderful thing about having Graham Hancock.
I texted Graham yesterday. I was like, yo, what's going on with this?
Yeah, so click on that and go full screen, please.
How significant of a discovery this is.
Dun, dun, dun. I love the music. And geometry, so you know it's real.
You got to appreciate the dramatic intro.
Project Unity.
What has just been announced in relation to the pyramids at the Giza Plateau and the plateau itself is so incredible, so awe-inspiring and narrative-shattering that I have been sitting here for the last hour trying to wrap my head around the implications of what we were just told. So this is pretty much breaking news because the new findings were announced on the 16th of March at a press conference held by the team who was studying the Great Pyramid of Giza with a non-invasive technology that was first developed by Filippo Bionde and Corrado Malanga called synthetic aperture radar Doppler tomography.
Fuck, that's a mouthful.
This was used to explore the internal structure of the Great Pyramid of Giza. And this method leverages the analysis of micro movements typically generated by background seismic activity to achieve a high resolution full 3D tomographic imagery of the pyramid's interior and subsurface components. The recent findings from deploying this technology are nothing short of mind-blowing, because what's been discovered is that there are huge structures coming down from the base of the pyramid deep into the bedrock, in fact over 600 meters deep, which then connects to structures that extend up to 2 kilometers below the surface of the ground. 2 kilometers. Massive internal structures connected to the base of the pyramid and extending deep, deep down. This is what we know so far.
What does your friend think about it?
Which friend?
The one that you said it's bullshit.
Oh, that's not my friend. That's Zawi Hawass.
Okay.
Zawi Hawass is the head of antiquities in Egypt. He's like the head guy that talks to the archaeologists and gives the official narrative. In the past, he's been extremely hostile to Graham Hancock, but Graham Hancock and him have now become friends.
Oh, yes. I do know this guy.
Coordinating. Graham is a lovely guy. People that like are enemies with him just need to get to know him and hang out with him. He's a genuine real human being who's trying to find the truth.
Egypt was crazy because Egypt is like Greece in that you have like, you can go to the Pantheon and you see that kind of stuff, right? But you go to Egypt and there's 4,000-year-old paint on the walls. And you're like, what? I can't get paint to stay on my wall for 10 years. Like, and it's almost exclusively because of the climate, and it got buried in sand. But it's so wild. So wild.
When you say that 1% of ancient Egypt has been discovered, what do you really mean by that?
Of the percentage of what we know that happened in Egyptian history, 1% has been excavated in terms of what we can actually pull out of the ground and look at artifacts. So there's whole eras of pharaohs that we don't know where they're buried. Like even when Tutankhamun was discovered, he was kind of a footnote in the pharaohs that we knew about at that time. And we didn't know he was, as extravagant, as rich, as, until we discovered his actual tomb. A lot of people at that time didn't even think he was worth looking into, because we have these lists of pharaohs, and the thing with the pharaohs is that the next pharaoh is always trying to prove that he's the better one. And this is why you go to Egypt and you find statues of Ramses everywhere. And part of it was because Ramses, I think it was Ramses II, he commissioned so many statues of himself. Because he's like, oh, I'm the best, I'm the greatest. And they couldn't keep up with the commissioning, and they started actually rubbing off the names of previous pharaohs on statues and just putting Ramses on it.
Really?
Because
wow.
he was just, so you go like from the top of Egypt to the bottom of Egypt, and you're going to find statues of Ramses.
He wanted to leave his mark.
And he did, right? Like, it worked.
We're talking about it now in 2024.
I know.
Yeah, that is nuts. So when you go there and you're in the presence of these things and you try to put yourself back into that time period, like, have you ever tried to think, like, what was the motivation to make something as great as the Pyramid of Giza, the Great Pyramid?
People definitely want to make their mark, right?
Right, but that's a mark that just doesn't even make sense.
There's something to that. I mean, if you think you're a god,
right,
and you have this whole kind of worldview perspective and theology that, you need to make something that and bear yourself with all this crap because that's going to make a difference in your afterlife, then you're going to go big rather than going home, right? So the perceptions of people in the ancient world are just so different. We got it so good right now.
Oh, yeah.
Like longevity, health, food is just on a completely different scale. And so the conventions of needing to make sure that, especially if you're like the richest guy around, that you tick off all the boxes, because you're going to die, and you're probably going to die sooner than you want to, sooner rather than later. And you have this whole perception of, well, if I bury myself with all this stuff and maybe even some of the people, we're just going to kill them and include them too, because they're going to help me out. That's going to help me out in the afterlife.
You need slaves in the afterlife if you're a pharaoh.
Yeah, of course you do.
You can't just
Why
go
not,
by yourself.
right? Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So Khufu's pyramid, what's the timeline that he was even in power?
I don't know. I'm not an Egyptologist or an archaeologist necessarily, but he was, I think that was like 4,000 years ago. We only really have a tiny little statue of him.
That's
we don't
nuts.
actually have that much about him.
I guess he was busy making a pyramid.
So they say, right?
So they say.
Billy thinks different, but
a lot of people think different. That's what's interesting about it is the archaeological argument that like Dr. Robert Schoch makes about the water erosion in the Temple of the Sphinx.
Yeah,
that's a fascinating argument because it does appear like that's water erosion. And that would put the timeline way, way back.
Yeah, I think even just looking at the Sphinx, you can tell that no matter what your perspective is, you should entertain the idea, at minimum, that the head was built later.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it doesn't fit the body.
It has much less erosion. But you could also attribute that to the different densities of the stone. Like, that's one of the things about these layers of limestone. It's like some of them are much more porous and some they erode easier.
Yeah.
You do see that.
Yeah.
And I think they're doing a terrible disservice by covering the Sphinx with like new stones, and they redid the paws and they're doing all that. Like, my God, people, like, leave it alone. Like, leave it the way it is.
Yeah, it's this tricky balance between
restoration and recreation.
Yeah.
Because they're in a recreation stage.
Yeah.
And it was obviously they're doing it with smaller stones, and it like looks different. It's not the same thing. It's not what it initially was. It was carved from one piece of stone.
Have you seen some of the restoration stuff that Saddam Hussein did in Iraq?
No.
Jamie, you got to pull up the ziggurat at Ur.
Oh, no.
So Saddam Hussein was a bit of a nut job, but he believed, as far as I understand it, that he was the recreation of Nebuchadnezzar.
Oh, boy.
So he did all of this restorative work in Iraq on things like the walls of Babylon. And in Ur, he rebuilt the ziggurat. Whoa. So if you look at that picture over there that says 1932 and 2022, that's what he did. is he basically tried to rebuild this entire thing.
Wow.
And it's amazing. I am trying hard to get to Iraq because I wanna see this thing. Interestingly enough,
die.
Yeah.
Don't die, dude. Don't go over there.
So that's actually
so I'm sorry, but so this is the modern version with the small bricks. The original version, was it all carved from one piece?
No, it would have been clay bricks.
So these were clay bricks. So what do we? Jamie? Can you go back to the 1930 image, please, so we could see what it looked like? God, I would rather just have that. You know, I mean, I want to see what it looked like and what it looks like all these years later. I don't want to see a recreation, which is very similar to what they've done to the Sphinx.
Yeah, the Sphinx. Even when I was in Egypt, they were doing some work in like.
Can you, Jamie? Can you go to the rehabilitation of the Sphinx or whatever they would call it?
Yeah, I just clicked on like the ruins of it. I was going to go back to the 30s or 40s or something.
Well, the restoration part is the interesting part. Like you could see the restoration. If you go to just Google restoration of the Sphinx paws.
Well, they're talking about putting encasing stones on the pyramid.
Yeah, I've heard that too. God, don't do that.
I don't think they should do that either.
No, you shouldn't do anything. I mean, obviously they took the original casing stones off, but that's also history. So now you can see like the new paws. Well, that seems like the difference between buried and unburied.
Yeah.
So like even when Napoleon came upon, like right there, like isn't that restored?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because there was much more erosion then. When Napoleon came upon it, it was buried, right?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think that was the case.
Like over time, because you're dealing with these crazy sandstorms, over time everything gets kind of buried.
Oh, so much of it is under sand for so long.
Was this the pad that Zahi was using right here? This one?
Maybe. That might have been the worst podcast I've ever done, but maybe a good one too. Just to see, okay, this is the guy. This is this closed-minded fellow that's been in charge of gatekeeping all of the knowledge about
and
Egypt.
Still standing on the same ideas, even after this Lidar comes out.
The tomography, whatever it is.
Whatever it is.
That stuff's fascinating because I've been, even after that podcast, I've been watching more videos with those Italian scientists describing it. They've used it to, this is one of the things that I brought up, one of the temples that they scanned with this was very accurate. And he's like, but this was only 50 feet down. Like, yeah, okay, right, but it works. Like, at 50 feet down, you get an accurate representation of what's inside there, and he was the one, Zahi, supposedly, discovered it. But he's discovered everything, basically.
Yeah.
So how do you...
Genius.
He's the best. So,
but the good thing is that Graham can go back to Egypt now.
Yes. Yeah.
So they patched up something.
Yeah, well, that was one of the reasons why Zahi came on.
Oh, really?
Because Graham talked to Zahi and said, like, Zahi wants to do this. We're friends now. I was like, bring him in. Let's go. Bring him in. I'll talk to him. I mean, I thought it would probably...
Did he invite you to Egypt?
Yeah.
And what'd you say?
Yeah. If I'm going with Graham.
Yeah. I
or Jimmy
told Graham.
Corsetti.
I told Graham I wanted him to take me a few years ago. He said, I can't go. They'll kill me. So next thing you know, I see Graham's taking people to Egypt. I said, what the fuck?
Well, that's nice. It's nice that they patched it up.
I went back. I went there last July.
Did you?
June.
How was it?
Incredible. Yeah, it was incredible.
Did you walk away thinking immediately, there's a lot we don't know?
100%. Yeah. And what they tell you is complete bullshit.
Yeah. I have a friend who went there, and the archaeologist that showed him it said, this is complete bullshit. Like, the narrative is complete bullshit. Yeah. He said, the scale of it, he said the scale of it and the technology involved in construction is beyond our current understanding of how to do this.
And it's not just the pyramids and the Sphinx. No. The other temples are magnificent.
Not only that, there's probably a bunch of shit under the ground.
I know. That's what I wanted to go see. But the cool thing was the first temple I went in was what I'd seen on Ancient Aliens, where at the very top of the temple you have one of the most famous hieroglyphs, which has a spaceship, a helicopter, and a submarine up there. As clear as you can possibly imagine. And
show that.
What the fuck is that? How in the... What is that? Explain that, please. Because that looks like a spaceship, that looks like a submarine, and that 100% looks like a helicopter.
So weird. Egypt is the weirdest place on earth. It really is. Because
but that's why it needs to be...
Yeah.
What the hell's underneath it?
Well, I think... That one.
That one right there?
Yeah. I mean, what
are we talking about?
Come on. That's so crazy.
That's a spaceship or a fighter jet.
Some kind of a...
That's a submarine.
It looks like a yacht. It looks like one of them oligarch yachts that they keep getting pounded.
That's a helicopter.
It looks like a helicopter to me. It looks just like a helicopter.
Yeah, that was the first
if it's not a helicopter, what a goddamn coincidence.
Yeah.
And, there's a bunch of weird stuff there. A bunch of weird images. And how about that one plane that they found that was inside? They found like a wooden plane that was inside one of the chambers.
Totally normal.
Yeah.
They just buried there with the,
That was the other thing that Zahi was unwilling to entertain was this King's List. This Zepteki King's List that goes back 30,000 plus years.
Yes.
They all want to pretend that that's a myth, that all the other hieroglyphs are legitimately documenting the history of the region. But when it gets past the narrative, these 30,000-year-old kings, that place has probably been there for a long fucking time.
Yeah, probably hundreds of thousands of years.
Which is so crazy.
And it's probably built on other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the other thing about the base of the pyramids. It's like you have to realize like there's a base there. Before they put the pyramids up, they put this insane base. And if what they're saying is accurate with these readings, that there's a structure that goes under the ground 2 kilometers, like
what is that?
If they can find that, then you have to throw everything out the window.
But aren't you with me? Like, why are we not interested in that?
Well, we are.
But why is modern archaeology not going, let's fucking figure this shit out?
Because modern archaeology forever has been saying that we have the answers, that we have the timeline. We know when Khufu built this. We know when Khafre built this. We know who did this. And they're not correct. It's not accurate. It's too weird. There's no way you have all the information. Also, where'd everybody go? Like, there's people living there, but it's clearly not the same civilization. So what happened to this insane civilization? If there wasn't a collapse of society at an immense level, if there wasn't some sort of a civilization-destroying event, then where did what happened?
How about this idea? We got a new pope.
Mm-hmm.
He's from the States.
From Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's open up the Library of the Vatican.
Oh, good luck. Good luck doing that.
When people ask me about the best thing that I did in my life, I say 2 things. Number 1, that I restored the Sphinx. I brought the proportions of the Sphinx back. And I restored the oldest pyramid in Egypt, the Step Pyramid. It was falling down. In 14 years, I made major important conservation and restoration. And I tell people, why do we have to fight all the time about the age of the pyramid? We have to fight, or we have to cooperate, all of us, to restore these monuments. And the most important thing is for me always is conservation. And I dedicate most of my life not only to the excavation, but to conservation.
What do you think the arguments are that predate, that try to push the date back of the construction of the pyramids?
I never heard of this.
You've never heard of this before?
No, it's only new. It's a theories from the new age.
But I saw a debate with you. I saw a debate with you and Graham Hancock, and there was another archaeologist.
That was
hold on. The other archaeologist was saying, if you're saying that something happened 10,000 years ago, where's the evidence of any civilization from 10,000 years ago?
Exactly.
But then you found Göbekli Tepe. So Göbekli Tepe was buried over 11,000 years ago.
That's not true. I never heard about this.
What do you mean it's not true?
It's not true what I told you.
What is not true?
It never happened.
Tepe?
We never discovered this at all.
Wait a minute. Göbekli Tepe is in Turkey. Okay.
Oh, in Turkey. Listen.
Yes. Göbekli Tepe is in Turkey. I know. But more than 11,000 years old.
Okay, fine.
It's very complex stone structures.
Fine.
But this was the evidence. Hold on. No, this is the evidence in the argument. The argument was there was no evidence of an ancient civilization from 10,000 plus years ago. This is before the discovery of Göbekli Tepe. Göbekli Tepe gets discovered, known to be more than 11,000 years ago. That changes everything. Because now we know. Yes, it does.
That's changed for what?
Because now we know there was an advanced civilization capable of a spectacular construction 11,000 plus years ago.
This is what. Listen. Look at the archaeologists in Turkey or in any civilization.
Okay.
They never talk about old civilization.
That's not true. Göbekli Tepe is universally accepted as being more than 11,000 years old.
I am talking now about Egypt. I'm not going.
No, I understand, but the argument was that there was never any ancient civilization capable of spectacular construction 10,000 years ago. Now that they showed Göbekli Tepe is more than 11,000 years old, they know for sure that's not true.
Okay, but now I'm talking about the pyramids of Egypt. I have the evidence, the written. We found everything about that. We know the dating. And I give you hundreds of evidence that this pyramid built by Khufu or Khufu.
No, I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm not saying it wasn't. What I'm saying is
any civilization older than we know,
still in the same spot. How old does it go back?
We have no evidence.
So how does ancient Egypt emerge?
How
does it emerge and go from zero to pyramids?
Okay, can you listen to me?
Yeah.
We have prehistoric Egypt.
Right.
And we have the old Stone Age, Middle Stone Age, Neolithic, when the Egyptians began to know about agriculture. And they began to live together in communities. Then after that, we came to the pre-dynastic, when a king called Narmer, in Dynasty 0, he began to make unification of the Upper and Lower Egypt, until one king called Mina or Horaha, who united completely.
And what year was this?
This was 3000 BC, 5,000 years ago. In a place called Abydos, they built huge mud brick tombs. Huge. From mud brick, no stones. And these tombs are created in a site called Abydos.
You know, what's really fascinating about this is that 500 years, you think about that, how different just modern civilization was 500 years ago. 500 years ago, we had almost none of the inventions we have today. We had no internal combustion engine, no hardened steel, none of the things that we have. And now look what we have with electronics. Now imagine what the Egyptians were able to do in 500 years in a different way, in construction with stone. That their advancements weren't like our advancements, but their advancements were equally spectacular, just in a different way. Do you base the dates on? Do you base it on carbon isotope?
No, we don't. We based dating on the evidence that we discover.
Right, but some of it is based on carbon, right?
No, I don't believe in carbon-date 14 at all.
You don't?
No.
Why not?
Carbon-date 14 never given accurate dating. And this is why I believe, when you discover something, if you discover a cemetery,
right,
there is two types of datings. One called absolute dating, means that in this cemetery you have a name of a king and a date. This is absolute. But if you discover another cemetery and has no dates, then the best thing that we do is to find the artifacts in this cemetery and try to compare it with other dated cemetery, and you give a date for this.
But I'm curious as to why you're skeptical about carbon dating, because I think carbon dating is generally accepted as being accurate within a certain framework.
It is, but I never used it. And many people, very rare to use it in Egypt, because in Egypt, mainly, we have absolute chronology. We have absolute dating based on inscriptions.
Right, but I thought it was used in Egypt, like to measure wood that was in mortar. To date the Great Pyramid to 2,500 BC.
No, that was an experiment to date the pyramid. I think was about 2009, and it's not working.
But
I didn't see the result.
You haven't seen a result on carbon testing of the mortar of the Great Pyramid?
No, but the mortar, you can't. One thing, the mortar between the stones.
Right.
This mortar, like, if you take a piece of stone from the pyramid and you try to take carbon-14, this piece of stone could be thousands of years in the quarry. It cannot date a pyramid. How can you date?
Hold on. You don't date stone.
I'm saying if you date mortar.
Okay.
How can you say accurately that this mortar is dated to the same time of building the pyramid.
Well, you can actually. That's the argument, is that there's probably repairs done, right? And so
of the pyramid?
Yes.
No, of the Great Pyramid, there's no evidence
repairs,
of any
no
restoration.
renovations, no restoration,
never,
nothing?
Never any accurate evidence that the pyramid was restored
right, but
in any period of the Egyptian history.